Hey guys, here we go again. And this time actually, it's the same matchup, Nin versus Breya. With a different opponent, of course. This guy is JRM. I think Mr. JRM is playing a very net decky version of the Breya deck. Much more similar to the decks that you'd see in the Commander League compared to the last Breya opponent. I think I'm going first this game too, and unfortunately I have a very borderline but ultimately not keepable draw, given the fact that it's got a Karn Liberated in it, which is 7 mana and totally useless, as well as a Veldican Shackles, which isn't all that good against Breya because you need to get 4 islands out to do it. So even though I got Force of Will and Impulse, with one more land, if this was some dual land or something, I would certainly keep it, but regrettably I have to throw it back. And I think JRM is keeping his 7. And I get this interesting hand. Legacy's Allure, 2 islands, Dissipate, Chrome Mox, and Earthquake, which is pretty damn nice, actually. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see what I revealed there with the Scry, but I'm pretty sure that I kept it. Alright, he's going first. He's got nothing. I'll let you know in a second if I did or not. Yeah, that's right. The top card was Vandal Blast. And obviously, if there's one card you want to see on top of your deck, probably short of Dak Faden, it's Vandal Blast. That card is just incredibly strong against Breya. And now the game's going to turn into, how can I set up Vandal Blast to maximum effect? I'm going to play an island. I'm actually just playing the Chrome Mox here because I can get rid of this useless Earthquake. It is all but useless against Breya. And now I can play Nin on turn 1, which is really nice. He pays 2 and he casts a Braid. And when he casts a Braid, I'm like, damn it, he's going to kill off my stupid Chrome Mox. I'm going to lose access to red mana, and I'm going to lose 2 cards. And he kills Nin. Absolutely nonsensical play here. It goes to show you that you can copy a deck online, but that doesn't mean you know how to play it well. Jesus, I can't. I mean, I don't know what to say. I'm kind of speechless about that. It's an atrocious misplay, objectively. All right, so I'm just going to play Legacy's Allure here and start building up counters. I just feel like there isn't that much he can do on turn 3 that I can't handle retroactively with Vandal Blast. So I'm fine to tap out here, even though I'm down to 3 cards in hand. And stacking up counters on the Legacy's Allure is really nice. So go to turn 3, and he plays Talisman of Indulgence. 1 artifact target acquired. 1 counter. I'm going to sack that. And I think about this a little bit, and I decide I'm going to make a little setup play here. I really actually am going to try to induce him to cast Breya. And the way that I induce him to cast Breya is, of course, I get him to tap out. Or I should say, I tap out. I put my defenses down on purpose. I play Nin, even if he destroys it, which is basically fine because I still have 5 mana. Even if he counters or destroys it, I feel like if I tap out here and let my guard down, that he may play his Breya, and he'll walk right into this Vandal Blast, which will kill not only his Breya, but it'll kill the Talisman, it'll set him back down to 3 mana, and I will not have to worry about Breya for ages. And with that in mind, I just decided to run Nin out here, even though I could Dissipate. This is definitely just a bit of a gamble, and sometimes you get utterly punished, especially if your opponent responds by playing a Planeswalker. Like you imagine he plays something like Nahiri, or he plays Jace the Mind Sculptor, or he plays Tezzeret the Seeker. And there's obviously a lot of ways that this can backfire. A Johnny Vengeance is another thing that could really screw me up. But I'm taking a risk here, and this is trying to basically induce my opponent into casting his Breya. Plus, I've already seen the Abrade play earlier, which kind of telegraphs to me that he may be mistake-prone. So we'll see. End of turn, pays 2 mana. And he just cycles. It's interesting. I was thinking he might have Fire Ice or something, but nope. Must mean he had more land in hand, at least, though. He plays the Volcanic Island. He starts tapping mana. He plays Veldican Shackles, which is interesting. Well, that's an artifact that I can destroy. I was really hoping he would just tap out and steal Nin, which would mean that end of turn I would steal Nin back with Legacy's Allure and play another land. And I could use Nin right away to have an active Nin, but he doesn't do that, which is smart. And in fact, if you have an untapped Veldican Shackles in play, you can prevent your opponent from ever using Nin the Pain Artist. Just as a reminder. Because you can just, if I have Nin shoot herself, he just grabs Nin in response. And, well, I guess I have the Legacy's Allure. I can grab her back again. It's hilarious. She gets tugged back and forth to different sides with her suicide ability on the stack. I'm just going to say done here. Obviously, there is a temptation to overload a Vandal Blast there, but if he counterspells it, it's disastrous. I can't really take that risk. And my honest hope here is that he, end of turn, tries to grab my guy with the shackles, and I can just suicide in response, and that's exactly what happens, which is great. So I'm going to just cast Tidings. +3 hand size. Nice. And I get Copy Artifact, which is fantastic because it gives me an option to deal with the shackles by matching them. He plays another land, and there's Breya. Oh shit, god damn it. This resizing thing sucks. Okay, so he plays Breya on his turn, and I have obviously no counter for that, nor am I interested in it. It goes back to my turn, and I drew Dissolve. So I am, after some thought here, I decide that I'm going to just go to Copy Artifact on his Veldican Shackles, so we can just play Breya Tug-of-War games. Plus, the Legacy's Allure is going to build up to 4 counters eventually, and I may be able to steal the Breya, or at least make him sack it, and when he recasts it, that's when I blow him out with the Vandal Blast, which is my intention. So I just cast that, and he's going to smash me here, which is fine. I have tons of life. No reason to tap any mana, and of course I can't tap 2 lands here anyway because he's got 6 mana untapped, and if his follow-up is something big and devastating, then I don't have the ability to dissolve or dissipate, and so that's why I obviously don't grab his guy with shackles right now. And he taps 3 mana, and lo and behold, you want to talk about a back-breaking card. Oh my god, Djeru. Good thing I did not steal his Breya or attempt to steal it. And so I sit here and I tap my 3 mana to dissolve, and I fully expected this to be countered. And, well, that would have been devastating to have it countered because Djeru is just complete death. He can immediately just use Djeru to kill my shackles. It isn't entirely the end of the world because if he does counter back, I will be able to overload the Vandal Blast and kill off his shackles and his talisman and his entire general and everything else and reduce him down to 5 mana, which is good for me, I suppose, but it's still I still got to deal with the Djeru, and my deck does not have a lot of good ways of dealing with Djeru, especially with Earthquake gone. But nope, it works out. And I was able to scry there as well. And I think I put I think it was a Flooded Strand, which I put back on top. So now the Allure is at 4. Yep, there's Flooded Strand. Cool, okay. So, what to do here? This is an interesting situation. He's down to 3 cards in hand. I feel like I need to get more mana in play because I want to ultimately fabricate a little bit later and either get Crucible of Worlds to start running a fetch lands to just continue to build my mana base while he's kind of stuck there, or to maybe get Gilded Lotus. I also, of course, have my own Veldican Shackles in the deck too, and 2 Shackles beats 1. So I think about this for a little while, and I decided to basically just play a Sisay's Ring just to get more mana in play because he's only got 6, and now I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 to 6. Definitely mana advantage, and this gives me an easy choice of shackling during his turn. Sorry, this. All right, so far I haven't gone off the screen yet. That may come though due to the bigger cards. All right. So he goes into his combat step, and here I'm just going to grab his Breya here. There's absolutely, I'm not sure why he didn't attack with this, but there's absolutely no reason for me to not use the shackles here because it saves me quite a bit of damage. So I go to grab Breya, and he has the option, of course, to sack Breya to deal damage to me, but that isn't really that good of an option. He's still got his own shackles. So I just take 1, it's just trivial. And he just says done. I'm going to leave the Flooded Strand untapped, not only for Jace reasons, but also because I still want to continue to draw more land. This is definitely like a dicey situation given the fact that he's still got 4 cards in hand. All of them are spells. Obviously, he's got shackles, and I can't really play my commander right now, and my hand isn't all that strong. So I draw Condescend, which is nice, but I can at least attack with Breya here. He goes to steal his own Breya back, and with this in mind, I decide I'm just going to sack that Mox and Breya to kill off one of the Thopters. Might as well do that. That'll keep his Breya out of play for a long time. He's definitely not going to be paying 6 mana to resummon his general when I've got all this land untapped. And, stop. Alright, so he plays Crucible of Worlds on his turn, and he's got 3 mana floating after that. And I give this quite a bit of thought. Of course, he's got multiple fetch lands in the graveyard, so of course I have to counter that. The question is, do I counter it with Dissipate or do I counter it with Condescend? And after thinking about this for a little while, I decide I'm just going to Condescend here, even though of course I can't Dissipate, but I don't feel like his follow-up can be all that dangerous. I definitely do need to counter it though, because constraining his mana is important, and even though I could potentially set up a Vandal Blast here that clears out the Crucible, I literally don't even want him to get one more land. So I'm condescending here not only to scry, but also to keep the Crucible out of play. And it makes it look like I don't have any way to deal with artifacts either, which is good. And I kind of want him to fight over this, actually, because if he does fight over it, he loses the counterspell, and he'll get one land, and then I can easily untap and Vandal Blast and blow up 4 artifacts. But he lets it go. And I've got Into the Royal and Snapcaster, and the Snapcaster is fantastic because it gives me an ability to recycle the Dissolve. Into the Royal I don't see being particularly useful, so I'm going to throw that away. I guess Into the Royal would allow me to maybe protect my Shackles or something from him destroying them, but the Snapcaster is really nice. And then, post-combat, he plays Winter Orb, which is a really interesting play, given the fact that I've got Sol Ring in play, and I have more land than him as well, and all he's got is this Talisman of Indulgence. But it's not like I could counter it anyway. Kind of an interesting play. I get to untap my Shackles, and of course the Allure goes back to 6. And I draw that Snapcaster Mage. So I'm going to Fabricate, and I'm going to go get another mana source. And of course the best mana source here is Mox Diamond, no question, because not only does it cost 0, but it's going to give me even extra mana. So now I've got basically 3 mana I can untap every turn to his 1 automatically, in addition to the lands, which is a huge advantage under Winter Orb. So we're just going to play some Draw Go now. I would like to get Nin into play, but I'm going to have to probably wait until I get rid of the Winter Orb before I do that. And we have roughly equal hand sizes, plus he's going to have a maximum of 3 mana to work with, and his Breya is dead, so I've got lots of time. I got all the time in the world, and he can't really honestly afford to even use his Shackles to fight over the Thopter, which means I'm going to get a hold of the Thopter and start hitting him with it. Yeah, I realize what's causing the problems with the resizing. It's because of the fact that the extra large cards is causing the playfield to change in size. He's going to attack me here. Certainly take the 1. He just says done. Cool. I wonder if he played that Winter Orb thinking that I would counter it, to be honest. Because I did have 2 mana untapped there. But little did he know, I had a 3 mana counter and I couldn't stop it. Island. Great. Alright, he's up to 4 mana. There's no reason for me to take any damage from this since I got a free snag with the Shackles. He just says done. Look at this Allure. Oh my goodness. 8 counters on it now. Could steal just about anything. Draw a Seat of the Synod. I think I probably should have held on to Seat of the Synod just because of the potential to draw Forbid later. And building up cards in hand is useful anyway. I probably got enough mana regardless, but I think I just ultimately decided to play it. No reason to cast Nin yet. And then at end of turn he casts Tainted Pact. This is going to be interesting. I'm not going to counter it, of course. And I fully assume that he's just going to go get more mana, I guess. Maybe he'll get Whir of Invention to tap his own orb. That'd be kind of good. Get to see all this stuff that gets revealed here. This is kind of hilarious. Tomb, Memory Lapse, Snapcaster, Fetid Pools, Imperial Seal, Signet, Creeping Tar Pit, Miscalc. There's Force Will, Ancestral Vision, Signet, there's Armageddon, Vampiric Tutor, Mana Leak. He pauses a few times here. There goes his Forbid. Bunch more mana. I'm just wondering, like, what the hell is he going to go get? I mean, it's got to be some sort of big, bomby Planeswalker, right? It's the only thing that makes any sense. Still going. Still going. More lands. Good to see he's playing with the bounce lands. There's the Abyss. Cavern of Souls. Fact of Fiction. Counterspell. So much good stuff. Wasteland. A Johnny Vengeance. I remember he paused a while on the Liliana, thinking about that for a while. And he thought better of it. As Foretold. Vindicate. Look at all this good stuff. This is actually quite similar to the version that we're playing. I guess he has more of the cheap counters, and his lands are more diverse. Vindicate, Scalding Tarn, and then he stops finally with only 33 cards left in his deck. I am at a loss as to figure out what the hell he could have kept there, given how many amazing cards he went past, but I guess I'm going to find out soon. He doesn't even play a land, so he clearly didn't get something like Ancient Tomb. But I think under Winter Orb I would have gotten a good mana source. Maybe if you had the ability to protect it. It just says done. So I'm just going to build the Legacy's Allure up to 9 counters. Play another island. Now that I saw the Armageddon too, I feel particularly good about playing my lands. Still not ready to play Nin though. There's just no reason to do it right now. I'm just going to hold the line here and wait for him to blink first, because I'm still fully intending to set up the Vandal Blast. The problem is the Vandal Blast kills his Winter Orb and gives him a full untap step when I'm tapped out myself, and that's really not that good. I actually thought that maybe he might actually get Vandal Blast himself, and I didn't. He certainly has it in his deck, or maybe Dak Faden. But it just says done. I'm fully untapped now. I think I've got tons of islands now. Look at all those lands. 9 land. 10, 11, 12. 12 mana available. There's Forbid. Awesome. Alright, so I've got 3 counter spells effectively in hand and the mana to play all of them. So I'm just going to wait here. Even though he's got 7 cards in his hand, I know that none of them are land, and I'm pretty sure he's going to have to blink first. He's going to have to tap out. We're going to probably fight a counter orb or something, and I'm going to follow it up with a Vandal Blast. And that should be decisive. Tie the end of turn. And honestly, I gave some thought to countering this, but then I looked at his graveyard, or I should say his exiled from play. I actually checked through it. He's got a ton of white mana sources of planes in here already. There's numerous planes. And with that in mind, I feel like there's a reasonable chance that he doesn't even have 2 land, possibly even none. Sure enough, he reveals just 1 land, just a plateau. Since the Tundra's already in play and the Scrubland's gone. So he plays a Dimmer Aqueduct, even though that forces him to discard, and plays a Mox Diamond and throws away Watery Grave. So he did put 3 more mana into play and a bounce land as well under Winter Orb, so that's good. But he's still not doing anything. Factor Fiction, that is extremely, extremely nice card to get, because it's going to allow me to fight a counter war at the end of his turn. Alright, he's fully untapped finally under the orb. He plays Jace the Mind Sculptor. So, obviously I'm going to counterspell this, because it bounces the Thopter and kills it if need be. Draws him tons of cards that I can't interact with. I have to counter it, but first I decide I'm going to bluff and go for Factor Fiction. And this is one of those situations where I have multiple solutions to his thing in hand, but he doesn't know that, and this may look like a desperation play. So I cast Factor Fiction, and he Spell Pierces. Hee. Alright, good thing I've got tons of land available. I'll certainly pay the 2. And it flips up Karn Liberated, Keranos, Polluted Delta, Negate, and Lightning Bolt. Just, obviously, the Negate alone is enough to win the counter war, probably, which he can't fight over because of his own orb. And after looking at it for a while, I think he recognizes the fact that his Jace is not resolving. I'm pretty sure that's the card he got it with Tainted Pact. And he's just too far behind on mana, and if he fights a counter war over anything, he's just going to be locked under Winter Orb permanently. Plus, he doesn't know this, but he's getting Vandal Blasted shortly as well. And so JRM packs it in, giving the victory to the Nin deck. That's 2 games in a row against Breya with this deck, which is pretty cool, actually. I'm quite happy with that. Anyway, I thought this was a really cool interactive game between the 2 decks, seeing their relative strengths, and how Nin often can just win the game with just a single activation, and how you have to be really, really careful when you play against a skilled player playing a good deck, because a single mistake can cost you the entire game. And I think that Abrade that he played on turn 2, that single Abrade was very, very decisive in terms of how the game wound up playing out after that. Hope you guys enjoyed that game, and I've got more to come. See you soon.